I work in the sports space, right? So when you're studying, you have a different perception of what sports is, because you just know it at face value. But once you get into the space, you get to understand the different dynamics, the different, things that actually are hidden in the background. And that's where this topic came about. And one thing I did realize is that there are very few women in leadership positions in sports. If you talk about sports leadership, people tend to think that it's only in the physical playing aspect of sports. But I mean, it's so broad. You could be a leader in academia, you could be a leader as a coach, you could be a leader in the media space, in the sponsorship space. It's really, really broad, and there really is a place for both males and females. And then I went through some literature, and it gave like a lot of reasons as to why this is so. And that's when I actually started unpacking and starting to really understand what the reasons are. And a few of the objectives is just to investigate the perceptions that female sports students have towards sports leadership, and to also just test whether they have aspirations towards positions in sports leadership, careers in sports leadership. And really just to see if there's a link between their perceptions and the aspirations. And somewhere in between there, just try and understand why, if they are perceiving it in a certain way and they're aspiring to sports leadership positions, why is it that they're not entering these spaces, given the fact that they want to become sports leaders? If you go back to the literature, the whole notion of it being a man's world dates back to the ancient Greek times, when sport was just for men, and only like several decades later, that's when women were starting to participate in like the Olympic Games and whatnot, and this culture has kind of like just perpetuated throughout the decades and the different times. And I think what we're struggling with is the men that are in those positions, or the culture, the masculine culture, they're finding it hard to kind of shift so that they can be more inclusive, I think they're very protective of the space, and I think it's a space where men and female can really thrive in. So I think it's just one of those things where they're protecting it, and by them protecting it, they're just continuously just pushing this whole notion that it's a man's world. We're not trying to enter the space and push them out. We're trying to have full representation, because at the end of the day, males can't really understand female issues. And trust me, in women's sports, or in just sports in general, there are a lot of female issues that really need a feminine perspective. And if you look at how women's sports in SA is performing at the moment, that's because the women are starting to get sponsorship. If you think of Sasol, and you think of the Spa, you think of the Puma, they're sponsoring the netball ladies, and they're sponsoring the Banyana. You see that when they start feeling like they're recognized, they actually tend to do way better.